High transaction costs. Massive amounts of time and money are spent on legal oversight, strict monitoring, dispute resolutions. Remember, we talked about it, how trust acts as a speed multiplier, right? Which is, it saves time, and time is money. I rest my case. And of course, the third one, immediate collapse, right? The if you this is the risk you stand if you ignore trust and loyalty in a relationship and just focus only on legal mechanics, which is that the moment an unexpected situation arises within the written contract, that arises that the written legal contract does not explicitly cover, the partnership fractures. However, if you have trust and loyalty, it's very easy, again, going back to relational governance, for you to quickly have an alignment check-in and be like, okay, this is here is an early warning, and this is what we just flagged. This is something new that just came up. How can we now collaboratively resolve this? So you prevent the relationship from immediately collapsing or fracturing. And that's pretty much it. Let's move on to another part, which is practical steps to build a trust core agreement. Practical steps to build a trust core agreement. So now that we understand how a trust core, trust-based agreement, we understand the architecture, the framework of it, let's look at how to build one. The first thing we're going to look at is your draft. Your draft for collaboration, not just for protection. When you're drafting to collaborate with another person, it shows a high level of trust and loyalty, because you expect to rely on the other person. You expect consistency. You expect someone that is there that would also defend you, someone that is willing to sacrifice, someone that is ready to be consistent, and vice versa. The other person also has competency, honesty, benevolence, and reliability, right? So if you're drafting for that, the draft for such an agreement is completely going to be different from when you're drafting to protect. If you're drafting to protect, it's almost like somebody that is going to war, that needs a strategy against an enemy that they unfortunately have to let into their house. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So draft for collaboration, not just for protection. And it's going to include clauses that outline how you resolve disagreements collaboratively before you just jump into legal arbitration or, adjudication. Now, the second step is you're going to practice radical transparency. Share bad news early, very early. Some people like to hide and quickly mitigate, but sometimes when you're in a collaborative trust core agreement, it's actually more beneficial to reveal a bottleneck, a mistake voluntarily. This will help you build immense trust and improves your loyalty to the relationship. Remember that honesty forms a core element of trust, as we've talked about, and consistency forms a core element of true loyalty, as we've looked at. So your ability to be consistent, whether with good things and also bad things, not doing bad, but in this case, sharing whatever hindrances have come up in executing your own part of the contract, or mistakes that you may have made, or even challenges that you did not foresee, like the example of what I gave about a subsidiary and their parent company that is going through challenges. And of course, thirdly, reward loyalty over margin. What does that mean? In long-term agreements, occasionally prioritize keeping the partner healthy over squeezing out the absolute maximum short-term profit. Remember we talked about when we looked at aligned interest, we did speak about open long-term goals. So sometimes you do need to prioritize the other party's health and well-being over getting the most benefit in the short-term profits. And we've seen that in many business collaborations where a partner pushes for the absolute maximum short-term profits in maybe 5 years, and they hinder the stability and the growth of the other partner business that could have exceeded for over a decade or two, and then the other party crashes. It is well. All right, so it is well. So let's look at agreements. we've talked about how to build trust core agreements, the risk of having one. Now let's look at agreements themselves. All right. In professional agreements, partnerships, and organizational contracts, trust and loyalty core of agreement means that a written contract is secondary to the relationship itself, right? It implies that dealing or working arrangements between parties cannot succeed through legal clauses alone. The true foundation rests on mutual reliability, shared values, and a commitment to protect each other's interests. When trust and loyalty forms a core of an agreement, it transforms a rigid transactional contract into a flexible, resilient partnership. And that is exactly what everybody needs, something that's flexible and something that would be resilient, right? So the oath-taking process, as demonstrated in the scripture, wherein Abraham insists, okay, you know what, Eliezer, put your hand under my thigh and swear to me right now that you will not bring the family scatterer to my house. Do you know what I mean? So Abraham requested that an oath be taken. He proposed it, and Eliezer agreed after getting clarity on the assignment, right? The trajectory of Abraham's discussion with his servant goes as one. Number one, he demands an oath, reveals the importance of the deliberation and the assignment attached to it. It's like this is our first pillar of the framework, aligned interest, where he says, okay, this is what is going on, this is why it's important. Secondly, he briefs Eliezer on what to do and what not to do. And this is important, right? Because Eliezer then proceeds to subject this brief for review for more clarity. So he asks a very important question to Abraham, which is something that could be likely unforeseen, but he still asks for clarity. And Abraham responded. He dismissed it as no option, as not an option, as no option. Like, no, if the lady insists I bring your son back to where she lives, what happened? And everyone's like, no, that's not possible. And you and I, who have been following the story of Abraham, we know why Abraham said no. Because God pulled Abraham out of the Ur of Chaldeans. Abraham had his own journey, letting go of his place of birth to move forward. So why would he allow his son to go back? That is also a proverb for many of us anyway. But may the Lord speaks to whoever it is that the Lord speaks to. Now let's look at the clarity session itself. Eliezer had been briefed. He needed clarity on the instruction given to him. Hence, he asked clarity on the bride and the groom's movement. What did he say? Should the qualified bride refuse to come to Canaan, should I take Isaac to the Ur of Chaldeans to meet her? Now, the leave of the father's house instruction, which is, we all know, leave your father's house, which God gave Abraham, kind of explains Abraham's response. I just mentioned that. The fourth part is the oath is sealed. First, he says, okay, swear an oath to me. And then now that Eliezer understands what he's going to do, what he's not supposed to do, and other instructions, he has clarity. He seals its oath. And this is demonstrated by Eliezer doing as instructed in the oath act presented by his boss. How do we know? If you check Genesis 24 verse 9, and the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swore to him concerning that matter. Because now he understands, so the agreement, can go on. It's good for us to deduce from the events that there's trust and loyalty, and it forms a core part of the agreement between the two of them. As the head steward of Abraham's home, we can tell that Eliezer has built trust over time with Abraham. And because of a loyalty that exists between these two parties, he was selected with something as key as picking a spouse for Isaac.